Hey everyone, I'm Abby Sharp. Welcome to Abby's Kitchen. Today I'm trying something new and fun, and this is based on your suggestion. I'm going to be putting my dietitian hat on to discuss some of the old school diet foods that some of us may have grown up with. And some of us, I'm looking at you, my Gen Zers, may have never even tried for yourself, but this is going to be really, really fun. So in this video, I'm going to be looking at 5 popular diet foods of the past, some of which are actually making quite a bit of a resurgence. And I'm going to discuss why they were considered diet foods in the first place, the merits of these claims based on their nutritional content, the best ways to enjoy them, and what I would score them out of 10 based purely on their nutritional merit. I really want to reiterate here that these scores do not make these good or bad foods, nor do they take into consideration their value to you from a flavor, economic, enjoyment, cultural, or social perspective, all of which do and should play important roles in what you decide to eat. We know that, of course, foods are not created nutritionally equal, but we can make them morally equal. So keep that in mind, that if I give one of your go-tos a less than glowing review, I'm not suggesting that you should eat less of it at all. And if I give something that you dislike a high score, I don't think that it needs to become a staple in your diet. I'm just sharing nutrition information as objectively as I can, keeping in mind also that this is just one dietitian's appraisal, and you can use that information in conjunction with all of those other considerations when it comes to decisions about what to eat. Okay, so on that note, my general disclaimer that the information in this video is for entertainment and educational purposes only, and you should always, always, always speak to a healthcare provider about your unique needs. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and ring that little bell so that you never miss out on a video. Okay, so let's kick things off with the first diet food that I ever encountered as a young girl, grapefruit. So grapefruit to me could pretty much be the North American mascot for diet food. And that, my friends, can be traced back to a popular 1930s diet called the grapefruit diet. The diet claimed that you could lose 10 to 12 pounds within 12 days and relied on the unique enzymes in grapefruit to help allegedly burn away fat. This has a special place in my heart because the grapefruit diet was actually the first official diet that I ever went on in grade 10 because my mom was doing some version of it and my friend also wanted to try it. Well, let's just say with only 800 calories a day, I didn't even last a full 24 hours. So yeah, I didn't lose any weight. I just got really hangry. The truth is that grapefruit is a really healthy food packed with vitamin C, beta-carotene, lycopene, antioxidants, and flavonoids. It also has just 100 calories and 4 grams of fiber in one whole fruit, plus a whole cup of water. Having said that, it's not a magic weight loss food that burns away calories from other foods. One study analyzing the effects of daily consumption of grapefruit on body weight in healthy, overweight adults showed that while grapefruit does have a number of health benefits related to heart disease prevention, there were actually no significant results relating grapefruit consumption to weight loss specifically. I think grapefruit is fantastic and would be a great low-calorie, high-fiber, nutrient-dense food to add to any weight loss diet plan if you enjoy it, but it's not a magic pill. So some ways that you can enjoy grapefruit would be with some nuts as a snack, as part of your breakfast with some nut butter and toast, or thrown into a beautiful, colorful salad at lunch. So for its inherent nutrient content alone, I'm going to give grapefruit a 9 out of 10. I honestly can't really fault it for much, other than the fact that it really won't keep you that satiated for very long. Next, let's talk about rice cakes, which I feel are making a comeback just judging by how many people's What I Eat in a Day videos are featuring them. But our love of rice cakes really started back in the 90s when the world became obsessed with low-fat and low-calorie snack foods. And as we've recently seen the pendulum swing in the opposite direction, we're now seeing them make an appearance as a vessel to carry high-fat foods like nut butter and smashed avocado. But let's break down the facts. So rice cakes have only around 35 calories, 0 fat, and around 7 grams of carbs each. So yes, I can see why they're among the top choice for dieters and even those in the fitness community who are counting carbs as well. But they're free of fiber and free of protein, and you know I'm a huge fan of snacks with the hunger-crushing compounds, fat, protein, and fiber. Rice cakes, unfortunately, have 0 of these 3. They're also not a major source of any vitamins and minerals. So, translation? Well, even if you're using these to kind of fill you up for a few calories, they're not actually going to keep you full for very long. Having said that, I actually personally really like rice cakes, and I'll tell you why. For one, there's just something satisfying about that strange foamy like crunch, especially the flavored ones that are like coated in that salt and vinegar seasoning. I legit lived on those when I had morning sickness this time around, so I get it. I mean, if you like them, flavored or otherwise, great. I think they're an easy, snackable, inexpensive way to get your crunchy fix. But I mainly think of them as like an easy vessel for nutrition and for like a spread that would be more rich in those hunger-crushing compounds that we just talked about. So some ideas on how to serve a rice cake would be as a snack topped with some avocado and hemp hearts, or natural peanut butter and some chia jam, or for a meal you could top it off with some egg or tuna salad. So I would give rice cakes like a 6.5 out of 10 on their own and a solid 8 out of 10 when paired with some more nutritious, dense foods. Next, let's talk about cottage cheese, the OG diet dairy that has since been eclipsed by Greek yogurt in popularity. Now, North America's obsession with cottage cheese actually began in the 1950s and then peaked in the early 1970s when the average American ate around 5 pounds of it per year. That, my friends, is a lot of curds. But 1 cup of plain 2% cottage cheese packs in an impressive 30 grams of protein, along with calcium, phosphorus, and vitamin B12. It's also naturally a low-fat cheese, so even though you can find 0, 1, 2, and 4% options most readily on the market, they're all still relatively low-calorie, low-fat options. We're talking the difference between like 100 and 120 calories and 0 to 5 grams of fat per half cup. Not really a big deal in my books. There's also lactose-free options on the market for those who can't easily tolerate dairy. So if that sounds like you, try that one out too. The only thing to flag about cottage cheese, especially as it compares to other high-protein dairy like Greek or skyr yogurt, is that it is naturally high in sodium, almost 20% of your daily needs in just a half cup. So if you are sensitive to salt, it's something to watch and maybe keep an eye on your intake for the rest of the day, or you can try to find a low sodium option which only contains around 3% of your daily salt. Some of my favorite ways to enjoy cottage cheese is in a parfait with berries and nuts, pureed and spread on toast like ricotta would be, with some bananas on top, pureed with some frozen fruit to make my 2-ingredient froyo, or pureed into pancake batter to make protein pancakes. I will leave some links below to some of my go-to recipes, but I'm gonna give cottage cheese a 9 out of 10. Okay, now on the topic of breakfast parfaits, let's talk about granola. So here's a little wee factoid that you can bust out at your next dinner party. Granola was apparently a thing as far back as the late 1800s. A man named Dr. James C. Jackson developed a cereal-like mixture from gram flour, which he named granola, which sounds a lot like how my kid would probably pronounce granola. But then, a decade later, Seventh-day Adventist director Dr. John Harvey Kellogg created a blend composed of baked and rebaked whole grains, which he ended up calling granola, only because he was going to get sued if he used granula. But anyways, a century later, granola was adopted by the modern health food movement in the 1960s, and to this day is often still called a hippie health food. Again, thanks to wellness culture, this is coming full circle. Now, granola is admittedly kind of hard to assess from a nutritional standpoint, as there are endless types of varieties and different ingredients. But let's look at a more mainstream budget-friendly granola store brand and one that you would find in more specialty stores. So our grocery store granola is made with whole grain oat flakes, sugar, canola oil and palm oil, honey, sunflower seeds, and flavor. Our premium brand is made with organic gluten-free oats, organic coconut sugar, organic raw virgin coconut oil, organic sunflower seeds, organic puffed amaranth, organic quinoa flakes, organic chia seeds, organic cinnamon, and salt. The good news is, in both, the first ingredient is oats, and food labeling laws require that food manufacturers list ingredients in order of volume, meaning that the first ingredient is present in the greatest amount in that food product, and the last ingredient is usually found in very small amounts. I'm not going to get into the organic difference between these two, because that's a whole preference and that is a whole other video. But generally, you will see some themes here. Oats is number one, sugar is the second ingredient in both of these, some kind of oil is the third, and the rest is flavors or other nuts, seeds, or grains. Nutrition-wise, the premium actually has a lot more calories, fat, salt, carb, and sugar, but it also has more fiber and protein. So it does look like the premium brand just has more of these nutritious add-ins, which could account for some of the extra calories, fiber, protein, and fat. And this just goes to show that lower calorie doesn't always mean more nutrient dense and satiating. But we're looking at somewhere between 300 and 450 calories per cup, 5 to 20 grams of sugar, 5 to 10 grams of protein, and 5 to 7 grams of fiber. Which you choose would really depend on your unique health goals, taste preference, concern about ingredient quality like organic or gluten-free or non-GMO, and of course, budget. Now, when it comes to cereal, the general recommendation is to look for one with at least 4 grams of fiber, less than 10 grams of sugar, less than 3 grams of fat, and less than 360 milligrams of sodium per serving. So a store-bought granola may meet these criteria, but as we've seen, it also very well may not. So if you're having a hard time finding a granola that meets your unique needs, you can easily just make one yourself at home. I actually have an awesome recipe for espresso granola in the Mindful Glow cookbook, which I'm going to link below. But with its whole grains, nuts, and seeds, I think that granola is typically a pretty nutrient-dense food. And because it is more nutrient-dense and has more calories, more sugar, more fat than, let's say, a typical breakfast cereal like All Bran or Cheerios, you likely aren't going to eat quite as much. So some ways that I love to eat granola is to throw it on top of Greek yogurt, or if you want to add some nice texture and flavor to a less exciting breakfast cereal like Bran Flakes, you could mix the two together and then serve with milk. And ideally a milk that's a little higher in protein like soy, cows, or pea. It's also delicious as a handheld snack with some popcorn for an on-the-go little thing. But I would give granola, on average, acknowledging that there are huge differences in brands. And even if you make it at home, a generic 6.5 out of 10 strictly from a nutritional perspective. And let's finish things off with everyone's favorite wobbly snack, Jello. So Jello has been a popular American dessert since the late 1800s, yet somehow Jello shifted from our dessert menus to our diet plans sometime in the 20th century with the so-called Jello diet. Proof that you can make a new popular weight loss diet simply by limiting the number of foods that you eat to a narrow selection. Anyways, proponents of this diet claim that you can lose 10 to 20 pounds in a matter of weeks, but let's take a look. So Jello is made out of sugar, gelatin, aka a protein extracted from the skin, ligaments, and bones of animals, artificial flavors, some preservatives, and of course, colors. Jello became a popular diet food again during the low-fat craze, since it is officially completely fat-free. And in the world of desserts, it's also relatively low in calories, with one serving clocking in at just 80 calories. Thankfully, we have come a long way since the 80s, and we now know that fat-free doesn't automatically mean health food, as one serving contains 4.5 teaspoons of added sugar and not much else. So that means no fiber, not much protein, and no important vitamins or minerals. We also now have sugar-free Jello, which is sweetened with aspartame, but it still doesn't provide anything additive nutrition-wise. It is also important to briefly touch on the fact that certain food dyes contain chemicals that have been linked to hyperactivity in some children or allergies in others. And one dye in particular, Red 3, has been linked in animal research to thyroid tumors. Jello uses Red 40, not Red 3. as do most red-colored food products today, so this is unlikely to be a huge health concern. Having said that, for a lot of people, Jello is nostalgic and is easy to eat, especially for those on texture-restrictive diets, and that alone is reason enough to enjoy it from time to time. And in the grand scheme of desserts, which are not meant to be health foods in my opinion, just kind of meant to be enjoyed, it is a low-calorie option that might satisfy your mouth and emotional hunger for something sweet. If it brings you joy, amazing. Jello it up. But if we want to enjoy Jello in a more balanced way that could boost the nutrition content a bit, we could set the Jello with some fresh fruit or Greek yogurt in it, or make your own using fruit or veggie juice. On its own, however, speaking purely from a nutritional standpoint, I would give Jello a 2 out of 10. In conclusion, I want to reiterate that there are no good or bad foods, just more or less nutritious ones. And part of healthy eating is balancing nutrition with pleasure. But eating any one of these foods that I ranked highly will not make you healthy, nor will eating any that I did not rank as favorably make you unhealthy. All of these foods can and do fit in a healthy diet if they're enjoyable for you. So consider all of this information just another data point and nothing else. And that is all for today, folks. I want to keep things sweet and short, but I'd love to know if you liked this style of video. Do you appreciate the more nutrition-heavy information? Does this help you make decisions about maybe some new foods to try to incorporate into your diet? Does this give you permission to not eat certain foods if they don't bring you joy? Let me know by giving this video the thumbs up if you liked it. Leave me a comment below about this video style or about other classic diet foods that you'd like to see me review. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and I will see you next time on Abby's Kitchen. Bye!